Hello everyone, welcome back to SEDA Online, SEDA College Online. I'm Emma and I will be teaching you the pre-intermediate course. If it's your first time, welcome, and if you're following me throughout all the lessons, welcome back. Just to remind everybody, it's good to maybe make any comments if you have anything to add or any comments you'd like to make, anything, I will reply to you. Also, to have a pen and paper or pencil, it's up to you, because we will be doing some revision throughout the lesson every day. Okay, so just make sure you have all of these, or you can do them in your head, but it's good for you to practice using your pen and paper. Okay, so today's lesson will be, today we're going to do superlatives plus ever and present perfect, and also we are going to do describing a town or a city. Okay, so let's start off with superlatives. Now, the use of superlatives. Use the plus superlative adjective to say which is the biggest, etc. in a group. Okay, so this is really important. After superlative, we use in plus name of places or singular words for groups of people. Okay, so just to give you a couple of examples here, it's the cleanest city in Europe. Okay, don't ask me what, but anyway, we're referring to something here. It's the cleanest city in Europe. Where do you think the cleanest city in Europe is? If you have been traveling, I'm sure a lot of you have traveled around Europe. So can you give me your opinion of where you think the cleanest city is in Europe? Okay, for me, I'd say Dublin. Just my opinion. It's the most popular food in the world. Okay, so it's the most popular food in the world. What's the most popular food in the world? Okay, so these are just examples of the structure that we use. Okay, so let's look at the next one. We often use the plus superlative adjective with the present perfect plus ever. Okay, so it's the hottest country I've ever been to. So referring back to the present perfect, we're using that because it's up until this moment. Okay, so it's up to now, and that's why we're using the present perfect. It's the best movie I've seen this year. Again, this year is still continuing. Okay, so that's why we're using the present perfect here. But just look at the superlatives also. Okay, the hottest, the best, you have to put in the for when you're referring to these. Okay guys, so that's a little introduction to the superlatives. Now we're just going to go back over the comparatives that we did yesterday as well, but today we have an extra column, and you'll see it there, superlative column. Okay, so the adjective first one here, let me just get this. So the first one here is cold. Okay, so cold, and then that becomes colder. Remember, we add the ER if it's one syllable. Okay, do you remember from yesterday? And then superlative, it becomes the coldest, so we're adding EST here. Okay, so for superlative EST, and also we're putting in the. Okay, the next one, hot becomes hotter, double the T, ER. Remember, there's a consonant before the there's a vowel before the consonant, so it becomes ER, double the T. And then the hottest, double the T again, EST. Okay, so moving down here, heavy becomes heavier. Remember, drop the Y, IER. And same with superlative, the heaviest, drop the Y. Okay, and IEST. Popular, more than one syllable, we say more popular than. And then the most popular. Okay, that's what we're putting in for superlative. Good becomes better, but then in the superlative it becomes the best. Okay, bad becomes worse. Now there's a mistake here. Okay, this should not be the worst, this should be a T here, guys. Okay, so that's a little mistake there on my part. So the worst, and then far becomes further, and then the furthest. Okay, so that's the table. So just remember, that's supposed to be T. Okay, so just change that to T. Okay, let's move on. So, I'm going to get you to do some practice, but only using superlatives at the moment. Okay, so I want you to look at the exercises. And remember, look at what do I use if there's a Y? Okay, what do I use if there's more than one syllable? Yeah, so it's funny film I've ever seen. Okay, so what are we changing this to? Brad Pitt is handsome man in the world. Again, superlative. What do I change? Number 3. Italian food is delicious. So the verb here is, or sorry, the adjective here is delicious food in the world. August has been hot month this year. So again, we're using the present perfect here. Okay, we're using the present perfect because we're talking about up until this moment. Number 5. Jamie is talkative boy in the class. So you're talking about the whole class as a group here. So that's why we're using superlative. We're not comparing to anybody else. We're talking about in the whole class. Okay. Messi is one of, just bear that in mind, famous football players. Okay, so again, what do I use? So just write the question, okay, or sorry, just write the number and then only write your answer. Okay, so please just take your time. I'll give you a minute or so to think about it. And then just putting in the correct superlative, not comparative at the moment. Okay. Right, so let's move on. How did you get on? Let's start off with the first one. It's the funniest film I've ever seen. Okay, the funniest film I've ever seen. Okay. Number 2. Brad Pitt is the most handsome man in the world. The most handsome. Okay, the most handsome. It's more than one syllable, so we have to use the most. Most. Next one. Italian food is the most delicious food in the world. You can disagree. Maybe you have a different preference, but for me, I would say Italian food is. I love pizza. I love pasta. Yes. August has been the hottest month this year. Okay, this year is not finished, so we're using August in this particular context. Okay, obviously it's not happened yet, but in this context we use. Jimmy is the most talkative boy in the class. Talkative, more than one syllable. Just back to hottest, remember, double the T, okay? Messi is one of the most famous football players. Okay, so how do we get on with that? Remember, we're only using superlative. Okay, did anyone get 6 out of 6? Let me know how you got on. Make a comment. So we're going to move on. And this time, comparative or superlative. You have to think about, okay? We've done the comparatives, we've done the superlatives. Now we're using both of them, but which one do we use? So here, you have to choose, okay? Fill in the blanks with the correct form of adjectives in the brackets. So you're using the adjectives in the brackets and you're using, do you use comparative or superlative? Look at number 1. April is warm than January. Okay, so you write in, is it comparative or superlative? Number 2, it is old tree in this park. Okay, am I comparing or am I talking about all of it? Okay. Number 3, it is boring film this week. Okay, maybe you watched a lot of films this week, so let me know. Your car, cheap, mine. Okay, so what am I doing here? Am I comparing or am I not comparing? Number 5, the beautiful place is Paris. Okay. Number 6, his new book is exciting his previous book. He thinks that Italian food is delicious Irish food. Tom is bad golfer in the world. Okay, so Just write number 1 and then give me the correct, okay, the correct word. Is it comparative or superlative? Okay, how are we getting on? I don't want to go too fast and I don't want to go too slow, so I'm trying to keep it in the middle, okay? So let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow, please, okay? I really would appreciate some of your opinions. So let's go through the answers now. First one, April is warmer than January. That's debatable in Ireland, okay? So it all depends. If it's a hot day, if it's sunny, if it's not, it can be anything in April. But yeah, April is warmer than January. It's the oldest tree in the park, okay? So you're talking about in the whole park. It's the oldest tree. There's only one oldest, okay? So it's the oldest tree. It's the most boring film this week. Again, this week. Your car is cheaper than mine. I'm comparing my car to your car, okay? It's cheaper. So just remember, cheaper than. The most beautiful place is Paris, okay? The most beautiful, more than one syllable. His book is more exciting than his previous book, okay? More exciting than, because we're comparing his new book to his previous book, and that's why we're using comparatives here, okay? He thinks that Italian food is more delicious than Irish food. I would agree there. So Italian food, we're comparing to Irish food. More delicious than, more than one syllable, so we have to use more delicious than. Okay? Tom is the worst golfer in the world. In the world, okay? The worst golfer in the world. So that's why we're talking about in the world, we use the worst golfer. Okay, so just go back there. Remember the first one, compare, comparative. This one's superlative. Number 3, superlative. Your car is cheaper than mine, comparative. Superlative number 5. Number 6, comparative. We're comparing two things. 7, we're comparing two things. And number 8, superlative, in the world. How do we get on with comparatives or superlatives? Just remember the rules, okay? Remember, if it's one syllable, ER. If there's a Y, drop the Y, IER. Same with the superlatives, IEST. Comparatives, if it's more than one syllable, like boring, you would say more boring than for comparatives, and you say the most boring for superlative, okay? Don't forget the irregular verbs, okay? You've got good, better than, the best, bad, worse than, the worst, okay? These are things you just need to learn, okay? There's no way of not, if you don't learn these and you don't know them, you won't know, okay? So you have to learn these, and once they're in your head, they will be forever, okay? Now moving on, okay? Now we're going to talk about describing a town or a city, okay? So let's talk about even Dublin or anything like that. So here I've divided a table into 3 categories, okay? So you are going to put these words, these places even, into the correct column. So these places go into the correct column, okay? So we have religious buildings, places where you can buy things, historic buildings and monuments, okay? So these here go in here. So take a moment and just go maybe one by one. Castle, where would I put castle? Cathedral, okay, cathedral here. Church, department store, market, mosque, museum, palace, shopping centre, statue, temple and town hall. So where these ones, okay, so you have to put them, divide them up. Religious buildings, place where you can buy things, historic buildings and monuments. Just take a moment, just take a minute there to think about where do each one of these go. Okay, so just think about it. Just going to give you another 30 seconds, okay? Just okay. Don't worry if you're not finished, okay? I'm going to go to the next page, which are the answers. So here we have the answers. Here we go. How did you get on? So let's start off with religious buildings. So we have church, mosque, temple, cathedral. How's your pronunciation with cathedral? Okay, so cathedral is the big chapel. Okay, so yeah, so church, mosque, temple, cathedral. Now, places where you can buy things. So the first one, department store, market, town hall and shopping centre. These are all places where you can buy things in the city or town. Historic buildings and monuments. So castle, museum, palace, statue. Okay, and if you're in Dublin, you will see we have a lot of statues in Dublin. Okay, especially the famine statues. We've a lot of, everywhere you go you see a statue. What would you say the most famous statue is in Dublin? Can any of you write down the most famous statue in Dublin? It's a woman, okay? And this woman, she is situated, where is she situated? She's situated in the city centre anyway. And I want you to tell me, what's her name? There's even a song about her. So can anybody write down what's the name of the most famous statue? One of the most famous statues. Just write down what you think it is. And I'll tell you if you are correct or not, okay? So, now we're going to move on. And this time we're going to look at places in my city. Okay, so different places where people go for certain things. Okay, so the first one is hotel. Okay, people go to hotels to stay in hotels. So when you go to cities, you can stay in a hotel. Okay, another one then is museum. There are lots of museums in Dublin. Okay, have any of you been to any museums in Dublin? Let me know. There's a lot of free museums in Dublin also. Then we have restaurants, and again we have a lot of restaurants here as well. Okay, so restaurant. Then we go to the bank. Okay, so the bank you need to go if you need to get money, if you need to put in money, if you need to change a check, things like that. The next one is church, where you go to pray. Okay, and then the cinema. Okay, so the cinema is a place where people go to watch movies. Do any of you go to any cinema anywhere in Dublin? Let me know. Right, so the next one is fire station. Okay, that's where the fire brigade is. The next one is fountain. Look at the fountain here. There is the fountain. Do you see the fountain? That's a fountain. I love fountains. I don't think you could say there are many fountains in Dublin. Not very many. There might be one or two, but there's not very many. Not compared to other cities. There's some cities in New York and places like that. There's massive fountains. So that's a fountain. Then the next one is hair salon, where you get your hair done. And then a hotel, which I already had, so don't worry about that. The next one is a pharmacy. Okay, where you buy medicine. And the next one is school, where you go to learn things, where children go to learn things, or students. Okay, and we have two more. Statue. Okay, statue. There's a statue there. Okay, we talked about a statue. That's the Statue of Liberty. Okay, and then we have the theatre, where you go to watch plays and things. Okay, if you like Billy Elliot, Oliver Twist, all of those places. There's one, the Grand Canal Theatre is a very famous one in Dublin. Okay, have any of you been to a theatre in Dublin? And if you have, what have you gone to see? Make a comment and let me know. Okay, so let's see how your memory is. I have some explanations here. Okay, so I want you just to write down the name of the place for each one of these. Okay, so look at number 1. Just write number 1 and then the name of the place that we have just done. So if you need money, you go there. Where do I go? What's the name of that building? Number 2, you can see different plays there. Remember Billy Elliot, Oliver Twist? What's the name of that place? Number 3, when you study history, you go to this place. Okay, so where do I go to find out more about history? If you want to see a movie, you go there. Where do I go to watch a movie? Children go to this place to get knowledge. So what's the name of that place? When you want to have your hair cut, you go there. Or your hair dyed or anything, or wash your hair, it's up to you. 7, sometimes you go there to have a meal. Okay, so if you want to go and have a nice meal, you go to this place. You don't want to cook, so where do you go? Number 8, children like to play at this falling water. So think of water. What's the name of that? When we need medicine, we go there. What's the name of that place? And people go there to pray for God. Okay, so just have a look and tell me the name of the places. And just write the number. Okay, I'm just going to give you another few seconds because it's kind of a memory game. It's trying to see how much you remember. I don't want to give too much time on this because a little competition for yourself. It's like 2 seconds maybe for each one. Okay, so let's have a look. First one. If you need money, you go to the bank. Okay, do you remember that? Did you get that one? You see different plays there. So theatre. Okay, so let's practice the pronunciation. Theatre. Okay, so you go to theatre. When you study history, you go to this place. Museum. If you want to see a movie, you go there. Theatre or cinema. Okay, sometimes people might call the theatre cinema. It depends. If you said cinema or theatre, it's up to you. Children go to this place to get knowledge. School. When you want to have your hair cut, you go there. Hair salon. Sometimes you go there to have a meal. Restaurant. And children like to play at the falling water. Fountain. When we need medicine, we go there. Pharmacy. And people go there to pray to God. Okay? Church. How do we get on? Do you get 10 out of 10? How is your memory? Check. This is all testing your memory. Okay? Now the last topic we're going to do today, everybody, is adjectives to describe your town or city. So what adjectives are there to describe? So if you were describing any town or any city, these are some adjectives. The first one is boring. Well, some places can be boring. Crowded. Okay, so crowded means a lot of people. Crowded. Noisy, a lot of traffic. Okay, a lot of people on the road, a lot of traffic can be noisy. Modern, that means all the buildings are up to date and they've only been built maybe in the last, I don't know, if it was the last 100 years they wouldn't be modern. Then dangerous. Okay, so cities can be very dangerous, especially at night time. They can be dangerous. If you walk alone, it's very dangerous. And the last one is polluted. Okay, so a city to be polluted, that means a lot of smoke, a lot of rubbish, things like that. So polluted. Okay, so just have a look at those 6 adjectives. Okay, we're only doing 6, so yeah, practice time. So here I've written, again, it's like memory. Okay, just see what you remember. So just write the correct adjectives. Okay, yeah, the correct adjectives. So there is lots of bars and restaurants with loud music. Okay, what does that mean? What's the first adjective that enters your head? Number 2, the air is very dirty. Okay, so lots of smoke and things like that. There are too many people. Okay, so what do we call the adjective when there are lots of people? The building were built quite recently. Okay, there's nothing to do. So what does that mean if there's nothing to do? And you have to be very careful. Okay, so what does that mean? You have to be very careful. Let's see how you got on. Number 1. There is a lot of bars and restaurants with loud music. Okay, noisy. Do you remember that word? Noisy. The air is very dirty, polluted. There are too many people, crowded. The buildings were built quite recently. That should be quite recently, not quiet. Okay, so modern is the correct answer. There's nothing to do, boring. And number 6, you must be very careful, especially at night time. Don't walk alone. Dangerous. Okay, some places can be dangerous. Okay, so just to recap what we've done today. Just to recap what we've done today. So comparatives or superlatives we did. Okay, remember yesterday we did comparatives and today we did superlatives, and we did both of them together. Okay, and then we did describing your town or city, all the places we did, and the adjectives that we have done. Now just remember, you will get this handout. If you have any questions on everything I have done today, please let me know. And let me know how you're getting on. Yeah, and that's it for today. So tomorrow, I will see you tomorrow for more pre-intermediate lessons. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the sunshine. If it's sunny where you are, enjoy. Okay, bye-bye.